Alright everyone, welcome to my second daily edition. In this daily edition, I'll be covering what I can do to expand my portfolio and make it better. And there are going to be two things that I'll be covering in this De2. The first is going to be the addition of a clear workflow method, and secondly is covering the aesthetic and the value that it brings to my business. Now, in a portfolio, I believe that there are two parts that are important. The theoretical part in which you present like the stuff that your business says it's gonna do and introduction and stuff. And then there's also the practical ideas on how your business is going to do it. So in order to expand my portfolio, I would like to implement a clear workflow methodology in which I will state how I'm going to do each situation as well as how I can implement my problem solving skills in order to make my business more efficient and better at serving customers. Secondly, I want to talk about how having a clear workflow can increase the amount of quality I can put in my products. Because with a method to increase the workflow efficiency, my products all have the same production rate, but in fact, they will have the higher product quality. Why? Because having a proper method for the workflow enables each of my staff, let's say, in theory, to work harder and smarter, but still keeping the same workload, but doing it more efficient. It's basically like my work these few weeks, as in I've tried to be more disciplined, and this in turn has made my work more quality and up to standard. Next is going to be my presentation on the aesthetic of my business. So the aesthetic of my business, which is the Vortex logo and stuff, it focuses more on the style that people call the sub-minimal style, in which it mainly focuses on black and white colors for the logo. So sub-minimalistic is basically just a white backdrop with like a black logo and black words. But somehow, a few companies make it really stand out. Now, why is the aesthetic an important part? Firstly, because what do customers view me as based off my portfolio? How is it related to efficiency? And is my aesthetic a good return on investment? Because if my aesthetic doesn't fit my vibe or like my company's services, it's not gonna work out well. So the aesthetic is going to be something that I really need to work on, because as people say, the outer side of you is like what they're gonna see first, which is the same thing when they're gonna look into my company's portfolio. They're not gonna go work at my company first. They're gonna look at my company's portfolio first, and judge my company based on that portfolio. Which is why I want to have an emphasis on the aesthetic part of my business portfolio. So that is all for my second daily edition. Thank you for listening and have a great time. Bye.